Now we use Salesforce Flowsome.
Hello Flowsome people, welcome to the Salesforce Flowsome channel. In this video, we are going to go through the basic interface for Flow Orchestrator. To start building an orchestrator, come to the Flow homepage and click on the New Flow button. Then you will go to the Template tab. Then you can find the Flow Orchestrator here. Currently, there are two types of orchestration. The first type is the auto-launched one. So if you want to launch this orchestration, you will need to invoke this from another tool. Otherwise, you can choose the record-triggered orchestration. This will be fired when a record is created or updated and then meet the specific requirement. So then just go ahead and click Next. So here is your Flow Orchestrator interface. Because it's built on the Flow Builder, everything looks the same. The first thing to look at is this white space. This is the canvas, which is the same as in Flow Builder. Then about the layout. For Flow Orchestrator, you only have the auto layout option. So that's why you couldn't toggle the auto layout on and off. Then if we look at the toolbox, since it is auto layout, you will only have the Manager tab here to manage your resources. And if we click on the new resources, you will see there are only 4 types of resource available right now. Then let's look at the start element. If you want to configure how to start this record trigger orchestration, click on the start element and click Edit. This is almost the same as the regular record trigger flow. We can also specify the object here, but difference number 1 is there is no is deleted anymore. And then set the entry conditions is the same. But the second difference is we don't have the option of before trigger or after trigger anymore because all orchestrations run on after trigger. Then if we want to add elements, click on the plus on the path. We only have 2 available elements, stage and decision. So the decision is exactly the same as in the regular Flow Builder. You can use a decision to configure different paths for your orchestration. Then the second one is the stage. So one thing that's really special about orchestration is that you can configure different stage to structure your flow orchestration more easily. Based on the official tutorials, there is no best practice at the moment about how we should structure our flow. So just choose the way that makes sense to your business requirements. For example, you might have one stage that are gathering the user inputs, and we can call it before gathering inputs. And after you gather the inputs from many people, you might have a second stage called after gathering inputs, and then you would do some other actions in the second stage. Then we want to look at the stage element. The first thing you will notice is that the label and the API name are auto-populated, but you can modify them so it's easier for you to read. Then you see there's a set exit condition, but before we talk about exit, we want to talk about the entry. There are 2 scenarios that a stage will start. The first scenario is if the previous stage is completed, the system will start the next stage. And if there is no previous stage, the system will start the stage as long as the orchestration is triggered. Then we come back to the exit condition. There are 2 conditions here. The first one is if all the steps inside that stage are completed, the system will consider this stage as completed as well. Otherwise, you can choose the second option, which is when the specified evaluation flow returns true. This is a very advanced option, so we will talk about it at the end. Then let's move on to the step. There are 2 available types here. The first one is the background step, which is an auto-launched flow. The second one is an interactive step, which is a screen flow. So let's start with the background step. Again, label and names are auto-populated. And now you see there is a set entry condition. For each step, there are 3 possible options to start. The first one is if the stage starts, this step will also start automatically. Otherwise, you can configure it as when another step is marked as completed. Then you can specify the step here. The third one is when the specified evaluation flow returns true, which is what we saw in the stage element. So we will talk about it at the end. Finally, because it's a background step, you have to add an auto-launched flow. And if there is any input allow variable from that auto-launch flow, you can also configure here. Then let's look at the interactive step. For the interactive step, essentially it looks very similar. The entry condition is only 3, and we will also select a string flow. And again, if there is any input allow variable, it will show up here. Then we have the first difference is the specify record page. Because it is a string flow, so we have to specify where do we want to show this string flow. If you want to put this string flow on the record that triggered this orchestration, you can just type in record and use the global variable. And you also have to specify an assigned user that has to finish this string flow. And here you have to enter the username. I think right now the recommendation is to hardcode the username here because I have tried to use the user global variable and it didn't work well. Just type in manually the username for the assigned user. And then there is also exit condition. So right now we have seen this option, specify evaluation flow returns true in 3 different places. We have seen it in the stage exit condition here. And we have also seen it in the step entry and the step exit condition. So what is this option really? So this is for more advanced business logic. For example, if there's any other consideration before you can finish the step, you can write an auto launch flow and then use an output variable called isOrchestrationConditionMet to define whether you want to finish the step right now. If you're curious about how to do it, I highly recommend the tutorials on the unofficial Salesforce.com. Then we want to talk a little bit about how to make the steps run in sequence and in parallel. If you want to make the steps run in sequence, it should be quite easy. You just need to come to the second step and then come to the set entry condition, and you want to start this step when another step is finished. So you will choose this one and you will enter the previous step. Under this condition, these 2 steps will run in sequence. But if you want to let the steps run in parallel, you just need to go back to set the entry condition and choose when the stage starts, the step starts. So both my steps have the same start condition, which means that they will start at the same time once the stage starts. So this is also a really good example of why we need a third option for the entry and exit condition. For example, if you want a third step, let's say it's also a background step, and if you want this step start when the 2 previous steps finished, you couldn't really configure it because when you choose the second option here, you can only specify 1 step. But since these 2 steps run in parallel, you couldn't really control which one will finish first. That's why you will need the third option and then create a new auto launch flow to evaluate if these 2 steps have been finished already before you can start the third step. Finally, I want to show you how the instant related list will look like. So this is my orchestration that is currently activated, and I have triggered 1 orchestration instance already. So when I'm on my account page in the work guide related list, I will see my current work that needs to be done. If I click on the name of the orchestration, I will be led to the instance related list. And then if we go to the related tab, you will see I have different steps instance and different stage instance. This is my first stage right here, and the second stage will only show up after my first stage is finished. Finally, a really important note, if you want to use Orchestrator, make sure you have an organization-wide email address enabled. And you should also define the automated process user email address in your process automation settings page. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and turn on notification. Salesforce Flowsome, thank you for watching.